All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me on this revival of our quarterly member meetings. It's super nice to be to have this time to talk to all of you and give you updates. This is meant to be, for the people who are, maybe a little bit more invested, a little bit more curious, want to be more involved in things going on in the company. It's really nice to be able to share these types of things with those of you. So I'm going to talk. There's a comments box in the YouTube stream thingy. Feel free to leave a comment there and interrupt me. And if I see it, I will jump in. And if there's so many of you, I just don't want to do those Zoom calls where there's 500 people on the top there. And it's just too chaotic and somebody's not on mute or, that kind of thing. So it's unfortunate that there's not a way that we can interact more in real time, but feel free to please use that comment box. But just know that I think there's a 3-second delay from when my words get to your screen. So then when you leave a comment, it kind of appears as if it's getting to me 3 seconds later. Okay, so I am going to jabber about a bunch of stuff that I wrote down. And if while I'm doing that, you have not yet gone to those 2 slide thingies to add a comment about what needs to be added or what needs to be improved, please go to those links and do that. Probably at this point, it's too late to put in so honestly, I've not clicked on those links to see what's even in there. Maybe it's a bad idea to be surprised, but as those of you who saw the effort that I went through to get all of our staff in Vancouver to surprise that our team member who's having a baby shower. I love surprises. So this is a surprise for me to see the things that people have said on what needs to be improved and what can be added to the system. So I haven't looked in there. So if you're seeing a long list in there, it's probably better for you to just upvote other things that people have said instead of adding your own. But if you really want to add something in there now, then we can do that. So I'll talk about these things, and then once I'm done, I'll switch over to that, and then we'll see what's in there. Okay, so first I wanted to talk a little bit about, just reiterate why there's this, more than a year has elapsed since we've had this quarterly meeting. The first reason is that the issues with HUD, which have had a kind of bit of a resolution now, and I'll talk more about. I'll give everybody an update on HUD stuff at the very end. But those issues were kind of clouding things and making me not be the most. I don't know, just because it had an air, a cloud of unhappiness, and it was just hard to get the energy to come here and start. I want these to be a nice, friendly, happy time for us to talk to each other. So that was kind of a problem. The other thing was just was just so focused on the things that needed to get done, the website, the visual redesign, time zone, language support, all those things, where it's kind of I don't need an extra bombardment of extra things I got to do. I don't, I wasn't going to do anything else besides these major things that I had to do. So those are the reasons why we haven't done this in a while. After this, we will meet in 4-month intervals. I will do this in 4-month intervals, which makes it not quarterly, but tertiary member meetings doesn't have the same ring. So I will tell you what when that next meeting will be. Okay, so with those 2 things that I just talked about, the HUD issues and all these major improvements that I've had in mind being behind us, and going through those 2 things, it's kind of really helped me to have a really clear sense of what the company is and what we want to be doing. A lot of this stuff that you could say was completely obvious before all this for us and for you, but I just kind of wanted to reiterate some of the the 5 bullet points of who we are and what we're trying to do, because I think it's relevant to what I want to talk about next. First thing, EmpowerDB is really good. I'm so happy with what the product looks like right now. I think before all these changes in the past year, like there's always something about EmpowerDB I was a little bit self-conscious about. Like it's like I would say unequivocally to other people, like, oh, EmpowerDB is definitely better than these other databases, but like I would in my head like add up, like we've got this total and then they've got that, and so we're above them, but there's still some negative points for EmpowerDB, and I feel like those negative points, like I've taken care of those, and now I'm just super proud of the product. I think it's really good. Like, which I don't know, sounds really, it could sound obnoxious to say, but I don't know, it's been a lot of hard work, and I think like we can move forward in a way where we can feel just 100% confident about what we're able to do. Now, as I say, there's not ways to improve. Like, there's a bunch of places that I know could use improvement, and I know that when we look over to this feedback thing, that there'll be things that you say need to be improved, and so we can work on them. But it's just to say that like those things, like I feel like we've got a system in place, like the way the company is structured, where we can handle those types of things now in a really good way. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is we are independent. Maybe like once a month, I'll get an email from an investment firm or like a competitor, not like a competitor in the victim service area, but like just someone else who does databasey things looking to acquire EmpowerDB, and it's just not going to happen. So either I just delete those emails or respond back politely. It's not going to happen. It's been so much hard work to get us to where we are. Like maybe like 8 years ago, if somebody would have said, hey, here's a ton of cash, I could have taken that and like done something like really amazing and like gotten us to this point quicker. But then I would have, when investment firms give you this money, they expect like at least a 10 times return on their profit, because only 1 out of 10 of their investments actually pan out. So we just couldn't have the same company structure and the way we price our product if we had an investment firm do that. So at this point, with the product being really good, there's no like, what do I need this money for? Like we're making good money as it is. Like I'm not there. Yeah. So we're independent. And I think being independent means that we can do a lot of really impressive things that other companies just would never think about doing, because they're beholden to shareholders, or they're like they've got 18 managers who are expecting to get like $30,000 a year on just the company structure would be totally different. Okay, 3, we want to be working with victim service providers. Maybe it's probably like super obvious by now. I think early on there was times where I was like, well, do we make the marketing homepage say like victim service providers, and like kind of lose out on this whole, like these whole other worlds, like maybe food banks or like university tracking, like all these different things that we could have been doing. And like now I feel just very confident saying like that's who we're geared towards. And if somebody else wants to use the system, that's totally fine. And we do have other non-victim service providers who do it. But just that's an important part of who we are. We like working with the ultra small to medium large nonprofits. It lets us like build more relationships with the people there. I feel like when it's like these ultra large nonprofits, which we do work with at times, it's just harder to get to know the people, because it's like this giant group of people that you've got to go through. But we just like the efficiency of working with the smaller nonprofits. I personally like that we are able to price the product in a way that can meet the smaller nonprofits' needs, where I think competitors just wouldn't be able to do that. And there's just no way. And what ends up honestly, what ends up happening is the ultra large nonprofits take a look at our pricing and then just go, no thanks, like this has to be a joke. Because like compared to our competitors, our competitors know like, oh, this is a large nonprofit. We will charge them way more than anybody else. And this is totally intentional why we're the only product that has their pricing right on the homepage, because these other companies, like first of all, they want to get your email address so that they can bug you again and again and again. And then after that, if they share their pricing online, they can't do the thing where they charge based off of what they think they can get. So a lot of times we give our pricing to these large companies, and they're just like, no thanks. And if we're getting enough work, or they're like, sure, can you fill out these billion forms? And I just go like, why would I spend all this time filling out all these forms for you when I have all these other people who are asking me, who are looking for a new service, and they don't need those forms, and they just need me to like do things to help them. And so if I have to pick one or the other, I will pick one or the other. Pick the thing where I'm doing the actual work. Okay, so again, we're not turning away large companies, and I think a lot of the advancements of the system have been made from the few large companies, nonprofits that we have, kind of pushing us to add features that they would expect, but that's just kind of part of our identity. And 5, we are a small staff and want to stay that way. So I have just seen that if you just hire a ton of people, even if all those people were incredibly qualified, it just leads to so much disorganization and potential for things to get bogged down, and like the 100 layers of management and all that kind of stuff. Okay, just saw the comments. I have looking at these banners. Okay, so yeah, so I would rather have a smaller staff and have key people that I really trust, that are really qualified, that I pay really well, that I treat really well. And then that does mean the kind of things which you surely already experienced, where you have to, when you go to the support system, you have to put in the certain things, and we are not going to jump on the phone with you immediately, because we just find that it just takes longer sometimes to like schedule the call and do the thing, that blah blah. I have a feeling that it's going to come up on the what can we do better, the whole we want to be able to talk on the phone with you some more. And I will say that there has been a shift on our end to want to have to be more open to having those phone calls, because it does seem like in the long run it smooths things out with people a little bit better, and and obviously a lot of situations it is faster to go through that over the phone. Our availability is increased a little bit more. Like we aren't so like slammed as we were kind of maybe a few years ago. So sometimes I'll look at a support topic that has a long history, and I see kind of our response to some frustration about that, and asking to be on the phone. And I saw that I wrote back, no, sorry, we don't get on the phone, we've got stuff. And so I do want to mention, like, I do feel differently about that now, and wish that, like I said, I wish I would have dealt with it differently a few years ago, because whatever I was doing a few years ago was because of the environment at the time. But just to let you know that we are more open to having those types of phone calls, and think that they're beneficial. Okay, so that's kind of like a recap of just what the company is. And because I think that kind of really ties into what the new kind of marketing direction thing is that I keep mentioning in these listserv emails. I was really hoping to have it done by yesterday, so that we could be talking about the thing that I announced. But number of chaotic things in work and personal life got in the way, so I'm a few weeks behind on that. But I will still share with you exactly what that plan is, because I think that I would like to start getting people's buy-in on this new direction. Okay, so what we're doing is we're creating a bunch of template versions of EmpowerDB that do exactly what a national funder does. So like one template that just does everything you need to do for Voca, one template that just does everything you need to do for OVW stop. As many of the OVW, and then one of those for every OVW thing that we OVW report that we commonly get. One for FIPSA, one for HUD, which we already had in place. And then another series of templates that are like a combination of like, if you have Voca and STOP and FIPSA funding, you would use this template. So we're going to have like I don't know what's going to end up like maybe 12 to 18 templates when we're all said and done. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make it so that organizations can set up their own version of EmpowerDB with these templates with 3 different plans. And so the first plan will be a completely free forever plan. And so we did this with the HUD template for a while, and that was done to, kind of try to make lemonade out of lemons for it during one phase of the HUD issues. And I was really happy with the response that we got from that, and just kind of, especially in HUD's world, like you have to have a database. And so it just seems, I really like the idea of giving organizations a free option to have their data collection for this kind of thing. On our end, like if we're not spending our time like working one-on-one with people, then it's no sweat off our back. Like it doesn't cost us anything. Like maybe like pennies for like the computer space that these free systems take up. But like computing resources now have just gotten so cheap and so efficient that like it's basically zero extra cost to have all these extra free people using the system. So there's going to be, we'll bring back that HUD free HUD template thing. And then we'll let people create a Voca template or just all these different iterations for these national funders. And then I'm open to doing the same thing with different state funders. So if like I've got my eye on whatever funders in New York having like a template for like just the New York report. We've got some British Columbia reports that maybe want to do that too. So looking in Ontario. Yeah, so I'm really excited about offering that as a potential free option. And then there will be like this second tier plan of you get just that template, but you get some one-on-one support, and you get to be able to change certain things about the template that, like maybe if you do hotline calls in a different way than our template does it, we can set up something else for you. So that second tiered option will be a paid option. And then the third tier will be multi-use, and which is basically what all of you are at right now. So like doing anything other than what a funder is explicitly telling you have to do would count as a multi-use plan. With all that will come a change to our pricing structure. I don't anticipate that this will affect, our changes will affect existing users. So what's going to be is there's going to be a higher annual fee. So probably like around $1,000. I'm trying to get all of you at $800 a year for your annual fee. Some of you from a long time ago, I've sent a message out. I can't remember if it was just to you or to everybody, saying that you're going to be ratcheted up every year until you get to that 800. But these new people that come on will be $1,000 a year, and then their initial startup fee will be lower as well to kind of like balance that out. There will be higher hourly charges, and the hourly costs going up is mainly just me wanting to make sure I can keep paying my staff the rate at which I don't have to worry at all about them leaving me. Like just they're super important. I have to keep them, do whatever I can. And so just keeping their salaries up with inflation is just one way that I make sure that happens. So your hourly rates will potentially keep increasing if if I keep seeing headlines in the news about inflation going up. And so I'm sure you're getting this from everything that anybody that sells anything right now, but that's kind of my thought as well. And so, yeah. Oh, and then the other important thing is the funder report fees for new requests for funder reports will be charged annually. So instead of paying $400 once for the VOCA report, it would be $400 every year. And that's because I've just found that, like, even when VOCA isn't updating their even if VOCA doesn't update the report, make any changes to the report, it still just takes a ton of maintenance, these reports. So, like, there's always like tiny bugs that people are finding, and it takes time to work out, or ways that report needs to calculate data in a different way that just kind of goes to just kind of a maintenance fee that I want to keep, make sure we keep doing. So this is, like, I keep saying this is like a marketing strategy, which it is. It's like both a marketing strategy, and I just really like the idea that I just know that there's so many tiny nonprofits that can't even fathom like $2,000 like $3,000 startup costs and $1,000 startup annual costs every year, which is kind of what the bare minimum would be for EmpowerDB right now. So I just really like the idea of providing something that would help those organizations. With all this talk of like giving away the core parts of the database for free, it does make me want to check in with all of you to make sure that you're not having negative feelings about, like, hey, we paid thousands of dollars for this thing, and you're just going to turn around and give the same thing for free to somebody else. So just wanted to like make clear that, like, these other people getting this free database, they're not going to get any of our personal attention. Like, we'll make it really clear to people. The one-on-one support you will get from us is if somehow everybody gets locked out of the database all at once and you need us to like reset somebody's password, that kind of thing. But like, otherwise, that's it. And I'm just crossing my fingers that people who sign up for the free service will get that we'll have to have that restriction and won't be like expecting us to be doing things for them left or right. So we'll see. That's the big gamble for me in all this. So they're not going to get the personal attention that you do, and they're not going to get the customizability that you get. So I hope that you can see that the money that you've paid is the value is in that one-on-one support that you get from us. But like on my end, again, like, we've created this really powerful tool, and I don't want to just sit on it and say like, well, I'm not good. Like, the reason not to do this is because I want to make more money, let's say, which again is like, it's still a marketing tool. So I am kind of doing this because I think it'll help make more money, but it's also a way to support organizations who can't pay this. So I'm a contradiction. I get if you're getting confused by what I'm saying. And I don't want to not do this because I might upset paying customers. Like, to me, that's not enough of a reason why to do this. So I don't know. I hope that all I've said kind of makes sense to everybody about why I would want to do this and why I'm excited about this, and then why we will, if this goes well, I'll continue to be looking at other ways to say, like, if I can do 3 weeks of work to set something up that will kind of run on its own and other people can utilize through that automated way and really benefit from, then I'm going to do that 3 weeks of work, because it seems like it would just be a net positive for the world. Vika, I'm loving your comments. Everybody else, feel free to join Vika in the comments. Okay, so last two things about that whole plan. When I make the announcement about this whole plan, I'll be writing the announcement in such a way that if you would like to share it with the networks that you have, I would be very, very happy for you to share this announcement and help us spread the word about these this new offering and like the potential free versions of the system. We will also be reaching out to people in ways, people we've never spoken to in ways that we've never done before. I've never spent a penny on marketing, unless you count like going to conferences and like doing like tabling or something is marketing, which it is. But we've just always been too busy, and I've always kind of felt kind of slimy about like writing people and be like, hey, it's like I should not. It's like a business. It's like a normal thing that businesses do. But I've always kind of had this kind of thing in my mind of like if I want to reach out to people in this way, I want to have something that's like really impactful and different, and yeah. And so we're compiling lists of nonprofits, and like we're going through like the VOCA funded lists of everybody who gets VOCA funding in Idaho, and like just all the sources we can get to like just send everybody like one message. Hi, just so you know, we're this place. We're not going to bug you again. Just want to let you know. So we'll be doing that too. But if you want to spread the word, that would be very, very helpful. Okay, so now is the time where I switch and I look at the 2 slide things where we talk about what needs to be improved or what you would like added. And I just cannot decide which of those 2 I want to start with first. Well, I'm sharing my screen so we can see the same thing. So I guess we'll do what needs to be improved to like, I'm feeling a good high right now talking about all the stuff. So now let's do this and maybe bum me out. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through the top ones and spend, let's see, we're half an hour in. So like maybe I'll do like 10 minutes each on these things, and then I will after this kind of show you some other things that we've seen being set up in the system and kind of that we think is helpful. Like you might like to see it and give you ideas of ways you want to set things up on your end. And then at that point, I'll talk about the HUD stuff, the latest things in HUD world. Okay, so the first thing up got 6 votes. Homepage data completion reminders. Many times staff will have incomplete intake forms in the data completion reminder section on the homepage will not alert them to remedy the situation. Okay, so this is kind of in the category of this is not how the system should be working. If this is what you're experiencing the system is doing, then let us know. This will get like my top priority of trying to fix. If you find that that the reason why they're not getting that reminder is because the data completion reminders section is not set up in a certain way that would help, then that would kind of count as a wanting to have a new feature added to the system. So I know that might be hard for you to come up to know why that chain, where in that chain is getting broken. So when I get these types of support requests, it does take me like going through the code, and it takes me like 10-15 minutes sometimes to figure out like where in that line is getting broken. So it totally makes sense if it ends up being something where there needs to be a new feature added to support that. But this is the kind of thing where I'm very, very likely to prioritize new feature requests that help staff do their work better, like the ground level staff. Like that's kind of been a philosophy of the system, like from day one, of like when the people who are inputting the data can input their data and more efficiently and like get better data in there than the administrators and the other people down the line. It makes just so much easier for them as well. So I would want to really prioritize this, please. So please, Courtney and the 6 other people who upvoted that, send in a support request, say this staff person is expecting to see this client in their data completion reminder, and they aren't seeing it. Okay, so I'm going to click Mark's answer to that. All right. It would be helpful if more data completion reminders could be in more places. For example, put at the top of a client's activities outline So staff members would know there was missing information at their activities outline. So there's like when I look up a demo client and we go to some of these lists, we see up here, like this is their completion percentage. So the activities outline, I would want to keep separate. Like the activities world is here, and then the data completion world is here. So I wonder if like maybe like instead some sort of like bar, would it something be like a notice bar up here, some sort of like status of the client thing being up here. And this is now like really where, please leave a comment if what I'm saying, like spitballing here, sounds good to you, because I know it might be hard because whoever left this comment maybe isn't actually watching right now. But yeah, that's my thought on that. So let me see if I can go through and how many are in here? Well, okay. If you have a note open and you click add activities, the note you are working on goes away. It would be cool to have a warning pop up to let you know. Have a note open and you click add activities. So like yeah, this is probably why I should have had to take a look at these things before. Yeah, I'm not sure, because like if you're I'm not quite sure what this is saying. If you add in a note, okay, thank you, Lena. Like if you have a note open, like if you're writing in this and you click add activities, it should save whatever's in here. So hopefully if somebody who wrote this or upvoted this and felt like they agreed to it knows what this is, maybe you can leave a comment right now and give me some more feedback on what this could be. When searching, pulling up a list of all people that meets the search criteria. A search and results screen versus search box. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Well, you can write more of the comments there while I read the next one. When searching, pulling up a list. Yeah, I guess I need more on this too. So this now I'm starting to just mention, I started to think that now that we're kind of in this phase where I feel like I've got all these, there's no more huge big things I have in mind to add to EmpowerDB. So now for new features, like really want to be getting everybody's feedback a lot more about what new features to add. And I think one of the ways to do that is to create a page where administrators can go put in their new feature idea. It's totally public. And then if it doesn't make sense, I can respond and other people can leave comments, and kind of like a message board for new features. And then I could take, that whole chain and kind of categorize it as like, nope, not going to do, and write a response about why, or categorize it as, yes, it's on my list, and like have it show you like what the priority level is, and then have a list of things that I've done that people have said. So now I'm starting to feel bad that this character limit has made it so that I'm getting things that I don't quite understand. When searching, pulling up a list of all people that meet the search criteria. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just not getting a really clear indication about what that is. A true all services report that includes support groups. Okay. Yes. So I'm assuming that means something like you've got your services report, you've got your groups report, you've got sessions report, but I think this probably doesn't give you what you need. Like you probably want to see like a list of services and groups together combined. That makes total sense. So this is great. So we're getting a positive thing out of that. This will be, I'm gonna pin that. I don't know what that does. But yes, I like that idea. I can see that would be a relatively straightforward thing for us to build in, and we will do it. Okay, I've got people putting comments now. This is great, and I will now read them. Oh, and I can click on here just to have people show it for. Okay, so when you click Add New Activity from a client page, it pops up the note box in a new window. And then she said, if you start typing stuff, then move on to a different client. Okay. Whatever this is, I will fix it. I think there's just, I should have known. There's so much happening of like things on the screen and like whatever this is, it sounds like a thing that I can fix, and I will. Okay. Amanda says, for the question regarding the note, we have the same issue. If you are adding a new activity note and have it in the background, bring up a new client and add activity. Okay. Okay, so both of you have responded and telling me about the same bug. It's great. Glad we're doing this. I will fix it. And I have. It's kind of interesting to me when I see people's names. And I was like, I have no idea what organization those people are from, because there was a time where I knew everybody. But you don't have to say who you're from. My staff know. But we will, and I will when it gets fixed, I will reach out. Make sure we reach out to both of you and let you know that's fixed, or reach out to both of you and get like more feedback about what's going on. Okay, let's do a few more. Activities outline timestamp visible, or understanding how entries are organized. So if you want, like here, this is, this demo site is set up to not collect the time that activities have been entered. But we can flip a switch to make it so that you can enter in the time of activities. But maybe you're saying we don't care about what time, like we don't want to record the time of the activities, but we still want to see like at what time this activity was entered into the system, and then be able to have kind of a clearer way to organize that. So yeah, I wonder if like I can make it, it would be super easy for make it so that when you mouse over this date here, that it shows like all the date information that we could get. And it will tell you this. Okay. Yeah, I'm only going to do a couple more of these because now I'm seeing the error of my ways. It's a little bit hard to have these conversations in this medium, but this is still a really good like list of things to be thinking about. I'm sure after the meeting I'll be able to look at this with a clearer head and have a better idea. And then certainly for anybody who's put their name, we can reach out to them and get better feedback. And all these comments that are coming through will be saved. And yeah, so I'm just going to do one more from Jennifer here. Isolate a specific building or project code on the occupancy timeline for residential programs, both shelter and housing. Okay, yeah, occupancy timeline, that would be a really, really good, really easy place for us to start putting efforts into and making that feature being more useful in different ways, because I know that page does display data in a really unique way that like could be set up with AIO reports, but isn't always that efficient to do so. Okay, so the other ones that are in here, I promise I will look at them, and if it's somebody's reaching out who put their name and I'm not sure what it is, I will give a response back. But I want to go over to the what you would like added thing, which I wonder will be a lot of overlap. Can a report be created for NNEDB DV annual count? Seems many of Empower users would benefit. It would definitely be able to do that. This is the kind of thing where we will have more. If I'm not thinking like 5-6 of my day into these big, massive projects that I've had planned out for the past year and a half, I have a lot more bandwidth to do things like either build the report itself or direct my staff on how to build that report. So we're definitely going to get a lot more into report building, and this is the perfect thing for us to be working on because so many people will want it, and it helps kind of, it's a draw for the company. So yeah, that will 100% be on our list now. I'm glad to have that be brought up here, because that's something that I've been aware of, but there's just only so many things that can occupy my brain, so I kind of exited my brain. Can there be an update for city and state to populate based off zip codes? So like if you enter in a zip code, then it fills in the city and state for you. Yeah, it can. Let's do it. Please know that when I say let's do it, like, first of all, this marketing stuff, like, it's going to be 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks where I'm working on this new plan. I'm not going to do anything else then, unless it's like the system isn't working kind of thing. And then after that, it'll be prioritizing. We'll come up with some way to do this, but like, these are all, so far, this is great, and we'll get to them. Can staff info page include a text box for notes? I often print out the page and then add notes to explain funding. Yeah, so this is something that is possible to do now. And so if you don't know how to do that now, send us a support request and we will do it for you, or show you how to do it. It would be great to have an ability to pin a really important note at the top of a client's activities outline. So it would be the first thing staff would see when working with a client. I love this. And it's so easy. And I'm going to pin this comment. Perfect. Yeah. That's, again, like, that's the kind of thing that like literally would take me 4 hours to do. And the only reason why it's not there right now is because I've never thought of that. I'm so glad to be talking with all of you to get these ideas. Adding in a time field for call notes. Okay, so this seems like kind of similar to what we saw in the other thing about like maybe the chronological order. So again, we can flip a switch to make it so that your site tracks activities by the exact time. And when you do that, then the activities will definitely be in those orders, in the right order. And then I think what I'm gonna do, so I worry about like having pages like these be too cluttery. So like, I don't want to like have like an extra time here that would always show up. And I think it would kind of like confuse people, like, especially if they met with somebody at 10 a.m. and they're putting in the data at 2 p.m. because it happens. Like, I don't want to have it say like 2 p.m. right here, and then other people come back later and say like, hey, how come it says it was 2 p.m. but you obviously in the notes it said you met with them in the morning. So I want to be able to say like entry added at this and this date at this time. I think I want to make it so that if you hover onto this, then you get that extra bit of information. But otherwise, if your organization is one that's like the time that these things are happening in that order is really important to you, then it might make sense to do the thing where we flip a switch for you and make it so that right here in this like date field, there's also a time box that you can put what time something happened in. So reach out. You're not able to flip that switch, only we can flip that switch, but we wouldn't charge you for doing that. It would just be a thing we would do. Okay, I'm gonna mark these as answered. Appointment scheduling per client and staff. So there is an appointments module in the add activities section now that we can turn on for you if you want that. I have a feeling that it doesn't get used the most because it's not giving you what you would expect from appointments on like Google Calendars or Microsoft, whatever their thing is. So I'm open to ways to improve the employments thing, but if the goal is to get it to behave exactly like Google or Microsoft, like sometimes I shy away from that because it's like, well, they're already doing really good for that. You've already got your whole world in your Google Calendar, your Microsoft Calendar. Maybe there's instead, I know that you could want a confidentiality part of it, but maybe you can just say like meeting with client 4567 in your Google Calendar, and then that doesn't break confidentiality. If whoever is voting that wrote this or thumbs up that, please let us know if you want us to turn on that appointments module, or let us know if it's not working in a way that would be helpful for you. All right, these are much easier for me to digest. Can there be alerts that pop up on a screen when opening a record? We want something, sometimes we want something to immediately know. Yeah, so this is the kind of thing that we do for people, and we have a kind of standardized way of doing this. This is definitely like, and so now I'm starting to feel bad, like that there's all these things that the system can do that you don't know that it can do. And that maybe there's got to be some sort of way that we have a list of these things so that things so that this kind of thing doesn't happen. But the reason why that list doesn't exist is because it would potentially be a mile long and hard to read. But more importantly for this, this is something that we can do now, so please reach out to us and we will be glad to help you do that thing. Would it be possible to have a link we could send to clients where they could fill out their own demographics information and it could populate in their profile? Okay, yeah, this is something that I think about a lot, how to work out. So first of all, we can already set it up so that you can send clients a link and they could enter in their demographics and it goes right into the database, but it creates a brand new record. There it is. And the reason why that does that is because of some of the encryption stuff that has to be taken into account. I could possibly make it so that you give them a unique link that's like empoweredb.com/your site ID /demographics/4567, and like that 4567 is the client ID. The things that I worry about with that is client 4567 could get that link, change that to 4568, and then start screwing around and like adding in demographics for a client that they're not supposed to have. And then like you could be like, oh, maybe I'll disguise the 4. So yeah, there's ways that we can do that. I'm open to that. I'm less like gung ho. Like I definitely will promise I will do that right away. But I think this is a good thing for me to be thinking about. A lot of times what happens with this kind of thing is when I'm hesitant, it's because it hasn't completely clicked in my brain yet about how it's going to work. And then like I'm walking down the street and boom, it clicks. And then I go, okay, I have to do this tomorrow. And then so I can imagine this is the kind of thing that would happen. This would happen. Could there be an option to exclude certain staff from viewing a client profile? Yes, this is something that the system already does. Should be on a feature list. We'll do it. If you have this happen to you, please reach out to us and we'll set it up for you to be able to do that. Would it be helpful to have a way to print redacted client files from Empower? We still have funders who want to see details that do not show in reporting only mode. I'm not as excited about this one. I just get nervous about when I read this, I kind of think like, well, how come why can't you just print out the thing and like scribble over it and then copy Xerox it or like something like that? So Jennifer, I guess maybe it'd be helpful to give us some more background on this. Okay, looks like there's a lot here. I'm just going to do 2 more, and then I want to show you some of the other stuff that I've been thinking about showing you. Here we are. Important notices, warnings, or requests to not contact could be posted as an alert that must be read or closed when in a client's file. So this kind of sounds to me like the alert list thing, where if you want to be able to say, this is client has an alert, and then a banner shows up at the top, or like there's a big bright yellow thing. And so we can support that now. So contact us to help make that happen. A dashboard that shows all client information from all programs. So like when we talk about dashboards, this makes me think about like, maybe you want on the home page there to be more dashboardy things. And that kind of leads us into thinking about like, should this be more modular? So right now everybody has the add activities module and it's always up top, but like maybe there should be a way for you to like customize your homepage to like control what you see. And that's the kind of thing where I would want to be thoughtful about that. And it's when I'm trying to think through these kinds of things, it's really helpful to get as much feedback as possible. So if you have different use cases for this kind of thing, or if this message here kind of brings to mind something else for you, then let us know what those things are, because it kind of helps me. I really like when I build a new thing, if I can like bundle up a bunch of problems together and build the thing to solve that set of problems, instead of trying to like bing, 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 solve problem, which sometimes you have to do, but it's just so much better to just combine them together. Okay, so a lot of other stuff in here. I promise I will read those. I should not have jabbered on so much at the beginning. So I wanted to show you some examples of, we created this kind of way to have all-in-one reports be the program lists. So if we go to program settings, you have the option of doing the standard program list and then picking which variables you want to be in there, or you can have your program list be all-in-one reports and specify which reports you want to include. So kind of wanted to show you some examples of things that we've been setting up for people. Everything I'm showing you, like when you see names, these are all fake names in test sites, so you don't have to worry about that. But so this is an example where we've got one program list that's active clients, and this could potentially be just really mimicking the existing program list, doing the exact same thing. But this can also be like, if you have a way of defining what an active client is that isn't the EmpowerDB way, then you can create an all-in-one report that says, okay, we count an active client as somebody who has this and this and this, and not by this EmpowerDB way or of counting an active client. So that's one thing that can be done for that. Then if your organization has some sort of formal way in the system of closing out a client, you can have kind of a list of closed clients like that. We kind of try to discourage people from having a close out client thing unless there's like a real reason why you have to. A lot of times people just want to have a close out client thing because they're used to having to take a folder from an active client filing cabinet to an inactive client filing cabinet. And we say, oh, you don't have to worry about that anymore. But that's the potential if you do have a formal way of doing that within the system. And then here is an example of like, let's say this program has a wait list. So this is an all-in-one report set up to show everybody who is listed as being on the wait list. It shows the date that they are put on the wait list. It's sorted by, oh, it should be the opposite actually. So we're gonna do this. It should be sorted by ascending order, I guess. So that the people highest up on the wait list are up there first. And then here, is a formula that gets us the number of days on the wait list. And here's what that formula looks like. If you want to pause the video, screenshot it, and write it down. This is also in our documentation now for the different formula column examples. So on these things, these waitlists are done by, we kind of now got in the habit of setting up waitlist points in time entries for people. Say, okay, they were put on the waitlist as of this date. They were on the waitlist for the PEACE program. A lot of times people say, well, they're in the wait list for the PEACE program, but the PEACE program has 3 different things that you could be on the wait list for. And so we would have an extra variable show up to say, okay, which of these 3 things are they on the wait list for? And then we can say, okay, then they're taken off the wait list as of this date. And then once we put in a date there, their name gets taken off of our program list view. And if there were 3 different things that you could be on the wait list for, you could have like 3 different buttons up here. So we can scroll through and see which ones of those we want to pick somebody off of the wait list for. So that's one example. Another example that we see sometimes is people want to be able to have one button to see all of the clients active in a program and another button to see the clients that this particular user is active with in the program. So like if you have some sort of field in the system that says assigned to user, then you could say, make a report that's like, show me the people who are active in outreach and assigned advocate equals current user. So that's one way to do it. And then no matter who's viewing this, when they click on my outreach clients, that report will know to only show the list of people who are active for that user. And you can also make this report not look at the assigned advocate field. Maybe you want to just say like active in outreach and has received services at any point from the current user. And then that would maybe be a similar thing to this. And then the other kind of example we've seen that's interesting is something like this, where there's a hotline program and you have different types of hotline calls. So maybe you have phone calls, or maybe you have walk-ins. Maybe you have another field for like where the hotline call was taken, and you want to be able to easily separate those, potentially because staff want to be able to see, like isolate the hotline entries that were just relevant to them. So this is another thing that we can do with this new feature. So I've been really happy with that new feature and how that's worked out so far. And please feel free to let us know if you have other ideas that are good for us to know or want help getting something like this set up. Okay, I did want to show you an example of a survey page that one of our organizations set up that uses the translation feature in kind of a really cool way. So this is for an organization in Oregon that serves the deaf population, and they wanted to have an offsite form, like one of these surveys, be in English and Spanish, but they also wanted to have include these little videos on YouTube of people signing out what's being written. And this is really nice for me to kind of get to know kind of just how these different populations. I think what's happening on this page is like making my computer explode. So what they've done is they have like a whole bunch of different YouTube videos, and then those YouTube videos can be embedded in. I'm sorry, I got to close this because I think I can see on my video thing it's like getting choppy, so I'm worried that it's affecting the feed. But they have like 40 different YouTube videos of somebody signing out the what English text is being said, and then they set up a translation so that instead of showing when people click on the Spanish, it shows the Spanish sign language instead of the English sign language, which is just so cool to like learn that like there's different, like you would think that maybe sign language is a universal thing because it's not tied to a particular language, but it definitely is, and I'm happy to be learning about those types of things. And because what they did is they included like 40 different little videos. It took my computer way too long to load up. And so I'm sorry I didn't get to show you fully what that is. Okay, so we are at the hour-long mark that I said I was going to be. I will now talk a little bit about HUD stuff. If you don't care about HUD at all, the X button for closing this thing is right around there maybe, so feel free to do that. But I just since it's a big enough thing that affects enough people, I thought I should just talk a little bit more about what's going on with that. So again, what had happened is a couple months ago, I sent an email out to only HUD funded sites, letting you know that I had wrote HUD saying I had a new plan about how to incorporate all of their elements in the system. They wrote back saying, that sounds like potentially nice plan. We've had thoughts about reducing the kind of things that you have to do, that providers have to do. And we had a meeting. I talked with people at HUD about that. It was a really good meeting, really productive, and we will be, and I felt like, I feel like the situation is resolved enough to at least take down the stuff on the homepage, letting people know that there was this problem, and we're now like selling the HUD part of our system without feeling bad about it. So I'll just give you kind of the latest of what's happening for that since I wrote that email. So HUD has these monthly vendor calls where they talk about all kinds of really exciting things. And they did bring up in this call that they were potentially going to be, that they were thinking about relaxing these standards. And they asked for like the vendors' feedback, and it was kind of like, would you be okay with us relaxing the standards? And like, of course, nobody was like, no, I want you to make us always do more work no matter what. Like a lot of the HUD vendors, they need a lot of the vendors that do this kind of work, they need those fields because they have tons of customers who use them anyways. So a lot of people are like, yeah, I don't care. Like we're gonna have to keep them anyways. And then there was a lot of victim service provider focused ones who were like, yes, we obviously want this done. So I've also had like one or two more exchanges with people at HUD about this, and like kind of the process for that, it seems like they're going down is very the HUD like as far as like government organizations go, I think HUD could just be so much worse than what they are. Like they seem actually, for their giant size and all the things they do, I do feel like they run as efficient as I would expect an entity like that to run. They are probably like trapped in their little HUD bubble, but we're all trapped in our own bubbles, and they are doing all the things that I would expect an entity like that to do to try to get out of their bubbles. They're asking for the feedback. They're being thoughtful about it. I've been open with them about the feedback. So I have no idea where they are in that line of what's happening about relaxing their standards. I'm not in a rush to start building in any of these things until they say the exact list of things that need to be built in and how and why, because I still think there's a potential there could be some surprises in there. Depending on what they say impacts a lot of how I would build in the things that are remaining on that list. So I'm not in a rush. It doesn't seem to me like there's a rush right now for this to be like finalized, like what it's going to be. It's my impression is the rush is to have like a commitment that it will be resolved, and I've made that commitment. This will be resolved one way or the other. Even if everything falls through and HUD says that they're not going to relax the standards, I had already told them I was going to do all the things, but I would just like to wait till they make that announcement official. If I'm wrong and you are getting pushed, like you've got to have these fields in, or else you're going to get a finding, whatever that means, or you're going to restrict funding or whatever. Like if you're getting that sense, please write in to let me know. But again, I just want to reiterate, all the things I'm talking about would need to be built in. And this whole issue has only ever been things that you will never use. So in the past couple of months, I've gotten a few messages from people and they're like, oh, I'm so great that things are getting resolved in HUD things. Does that mean now we can run our APR, or now we can do this part of the APR that we need? Like, no, that doesn't mean that, because you've always been able to do that. Like, if it's not doing the thing, let me know. Like, let us know. Maybe there's a configuration thing we need to do. Maybe, but like, the only things that need to be built in are things that you will never use. So I'm not getting a sense from anybody right now that I have to rush to build in those things. The kind of when I do talk about timeline things to HUD, like I originally told them they'd be like a year and a half to get in all the things. They were like, oh yeah, that sounds totally reasonable, because I think other vendors are giving them much larger timelines for that kind of thing. So it's just, there's probably going to be more back and forth and like things that I'll know about what HUD's doing. I'm not going to send out more updates about this, because I think until HUD makes that final declaration about what's different, because I think it's just a very boring story and like it won't actually give you any more information. Once they make that declaration, I will keep you all up. I will let everybody know and let you know kind of what that means for things moving forward. And if in the meantime you're getting messages from your COC that are unhappy and wanting you to make changes, please let me know, and I will help give my advice or try to smooth things over or do whatever. Okay, so that is it. I will send you I will announce the date of our next meeting in 4 months. I don't know exactly when it's going to be, but it'll be like around 4 months from now. And again, if I didn't get to your thing, or if you want to add more clarification about something that you posted in that feedback, please feel free to send us a support request to let us know what you would like done. That whole time I should have been not sharing my screen. Bummer. Here I am. All right. Well, it didn't matter. You didn't need to see me. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. And I look forward to seeing you all for months. Bye.